World-renowned human performance expert, executive coach, best-selling author.
And I want to congratulate Ron Kardashian.
Over 12,000 hours of one-on-one coaching and mentorship.
He's a health and cognitive expert.
Known as a spiritual confidant to respected industry leaders. CEO of 3 companies.
Coach and minister Ron Kardashian.
Good friend, Coach Ron Kardashian.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Always Winning in Leadership. I'm Tim Boyko, and the PTO debate is missing the real issue. This isn't about vacation. It's about performance architecture. Let's dive into this exciting topic here, everyone. Here's Coach Ron Kardashian.
Tim, thank you so much. I want to dive right in. Performance architecture is an understanding of avoiding emotionalism. It's intentional design of systems that protect human cognition, human cognition overflow, output over time. So it's not motivation, it's not hustle, it's more conscientious. It's not even your perks. It's more of a conscious state of understanding how your body works. And I want you to make a note on architecture because the best way to describe this, and for all of our Instagram followers, we're doing a live on LinkedIn, but we wanted to join you guys in as well. Everyone's talking about PTO, right? And it's just like a skyscraper requires structural engineering to withstand load. The human brain requires recovery cycles that withstand pressure. And I often will coach people in understanding if you don't know how you're wired, you can't rewire. And this is our whole theme of our podcast and our organization at Hire is rewire, refire to go higher. It's not a little cute slogan for nostalgia. This is actual factual data that we're seeing clinically that helps people get more emotionally regulated, engage the prefrontal cortex. You know, if you don't know the architecture of your brain, then you're limited with its functionality. It's kind of like driving a car. You know, you need to push the start button or turn the key. You need to engage the gear, and then you have motion. Well, think of your brain as a gear. And the more you optimize it through regulation, breathing, time off, and let's talk deep about what real time off looks like. Now, the science behind it says this, and the benefits for you today are astronomical. For those of you guys watching, you know I'm over here. Decision accuracy increases. Check. Emotional regulation increases. Check. That means you're more balanced for family, extracurricular activities. If you're running a team like I am, you're an executive, you're a CEO. Man, I'm telling you, emotional dysregulation is the epitome of my coaching practice. It is worth billions of dollars. Why? One 30-second decision could cost you a lawsuit. One 30-second outlash could cost you your job. People are very pressured in this hour. And if you become a leader who has tone control, strategic thinking, impulse restraint, I'm telling you, you're going to be the most respected people in your organization. This was the area I worked with 2 guys. One was the number 3 guy at Apple. One was the number 8 engineer at Apple. They all said the same thing about Steve Jobs. I'm constantly walking on eggshells. He's nowhere to be seen, right? Obviously, Tim Cook's done a great job. And as you look at emotionally regulated leaders, some of them are running the biggest organizations in the world. And the ones that aren't are actually dying. And I'm going to talk about this because I understand as a former strength and conditioning coach, I'll always be a coach. I'm just not in practice. But I do consult my clients on optimal health function because of my understanding of physiology. But the irregularity is actually controlling processes of the inferior vena cava, fancy word for your main artery that goes into your brain, into your heart. And the quadrants of the heart are actually pressurized, which is causing cholesterol elevation, plaque buildup. Your behavior hardens your body. That's what atherosclerosis is. It's the hardening of the body. Think architecture. Research from Stanford University I have here shows productivity per hour sharply declines past 50 hours a week. Output doesn't scale linearly with time. It collapses under chronic load. So let's talk about PTO. Let's talk about how does it look? What does it look like? because a lot of employees that I get, they're saying, PTO is a scam, coach. And what people are saying is I technically have unlimited PTO, but I feel guilty taking it. This is a big deal. I'm going to give you the main exercise right away. When you have time off, that does not mean you're working on Slack. You have to put a notification on your email and your Slack account that says, I am unavailable. In fact, I'm working with a big CEO right now. He gets about 250 emails a day. He can't even monitor it. The executive assistant does half, he does the other half. When he goes on vacation, which he didn't listen to me for many, many years, this is a powerful story, and I got the study right here. I said, you need a break. He said, I don't have time for a break, man. He goes, I gotta hustle. And I want you guys to eradicate the word hustle out of your vocabulary. It does nothing for the neurology of your brain. It actually sends a message, hustler, and it creates this misfire. You're not a hustler. You don't want to be a hustler. And if you are a hustler, you don't want to listen to me because I don't work with hustlers. You want to be proactive, intelligent, knowledgeable, respectable, proactive, pointed. I'm very pointed. I got to get my point on. If you want to use a slang, got to get my hustle on. I got a side hustle. I got some side work that's producing mass money. I mean, if you want to kind of dumb it down, talk a little slang, as my inner city brothers do. It's so cool to hear how they orchestrate different word structures, tonal excellence as we coach. It bodes well, as long as the heart is engaged. And this is why I'm teaching you architecture. What people are saying, it's unlimited, but unspoken expectations punish me. So back to the CEO, I said, you can't organize 250 emails. You can't respond to that. And when he goes on vacation, he comes back, he's got 1,500 if he did a 3-day or 4-dayer. So what I advise for all of us, you put on the notification, say, I am not answering any emails until I got back. Please don't leave me an email. I'm not going to get it. So the autoresponder is going to send a message back to them completely off of your own ability to do it, and it'll do it for you. And then those people will email you back. Now, if there's a critical situation, then the inner circle has your cell phone number. That's a different cadence because then you can address it as well. But the point here is what's really happening. Research from Harvard Business School shows employees in the unlimited system often take less time off due to ambiguity and social pressure. And the brain interrupts unclear norms as risk. This is what we talked about last show about just having the phone by you, not off. It creates this perpetual signal from the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, fight, flight, freeze. It wants to fly. You want to be proactive, but it is constantly signaling you're about to get a notification. So that is not cognitive, beautiful, restorative rest. And we're going to get into the science in a second on what this is doing to your body. It's actually making you less, I want to use the word active, but I wanted to use something deeper, like diligent, like introspective. And what's amazing about the human brain is that, well, Ron, I've been using the phone for the last 20 years. I'm doing fine. You could actually be doing better. I tell my pro athletes this all the time. You got better in you. You're operating maybe at 40, 50, 60% of your capacity. Great coaches, that's what we do. We bring it out of you. This is why Olympians become Olympians, because we on the back end are speaking to them with no phones around, no distractions. They're 100% in the game. And these athletes are performing at the Olympics younger and younger and younger. When I interview some Olympians that are in 16, 17, 18, these kids were not raised with their phones. My kids were not raised with their phones. You're thinking with my last name, I would make them be all over the media. No, I didn't. I'm not interested in fame. I'm interested in effectiveness. I'm interested in transformation. I'm interested in an encounter. I don't want to touch anymore. I want to be transformed. I don't like the way that I'm behaving. I need to change my wiring system and the architecture, which is creating longevity and peace of mind. Now, The risk part is that it creates a stress activation subconsciously that you're dealing with, and stress suppresses prefrontal activation. What is the prefrontal cortex? The CP, what is that? Prefrontal CFC. Yeah, CFC. PFC, prefrontal cortex. It is involved in decision making, impulse control, focus, and forethought. Um, what I want you to understand is that the reactions have ramifications. We can mitigate those, you're onto a whole new level. Now, if you can't unplug, it's not PTO. Straight up. So the discussion is people are saying, I was on vacation, but I was answering my emails. I was on vacation, or I was overwhelmed with, we just got done completing this massive project. Now I had to follow up with everybody. My boss says disconnect, but emails me daily. This is a leadership issue, because if you cannot regulate the command that you've given, then it's dysregulation, and that's sending a message into the ethos. So a lot of you HR professionals who are dealing with dysregulated CEOs, pick up the phone, call our offices, call our email, because we have a very general approach how to talk to very headstrong people. They actually like talking to me because I get them. I'm pretty headstrong myself. However, what I have learned to do, because this was my main problem, is that I was emotionally dysregulated, spiritually sincere, emotionally active, but not emotionally present. Big difference in understanding architecture. Studies from the University of California, Irvine show it takes an average of 23 minutes to regain deep focus after you've been interrupted. All right. Partial disconnection keeps cortisol levels elevated. So, a lot of you guys who are trying to lose weight, cortisol's the battle, especially in us guys over 50. How do I stay my normal 185, aspiring to be 180? I reduce cortisol level by making sure I'm at the gym. I'm eating organic. I eat about 90% organic. Why? If you ever look at the little tag on some of your foods, you can actually reference that and see all the pesticides of the foods you're eating. Why? And you're wondering why you're moody, you're irritable, you feel sick one day, hypoglycemic the next day. A lot, look at food is mood, and we'll do a whole thing on that, because you know my fitness background. This is cutting edge stuff, because when I go in to see a client, first thing I do is a medical history. I remember one lady, Tim, told me, right, we were about 20 minutes into her evaluation. She goes, excuse me, sir. She was a big corporate big shot, and she said, why are we, I'm not here for you analyzing my health. And she goes, what, I'm not comfortable. Oh God, I felt like water poured down my back, because she's an authoritative woman. And I said, ma'am, in all due respect, do you believe food affects mood? She paused for like 20 seconds. I said, do you have any physiological ailments? Do you believe that your brain controls the body? But if your body is sick, your brain is offline? She goes, point well taken, continue on. And so what I did is I had to observe, like, joint pain. For example, I got a CEO right now whose knees are horrible. So when I go into session, I go, how's your knees doing today? He goes, oh my God, they're horrible. So his whole mood is off all day. Well, what are we doing to reduce inflammation? And that this is optimal performance, is understanding the architecture. So when you take time to develop the architecture of your body, you're operating on a whole new level. Partial disconnection keeps cortisol levels and prevents cognitive reset. So that's not rest. We call it suspended stress. I'm just going to pause for a minute and suspend it, but I'm not going to get rid of it. Now, two more points, and then I'm going to shut up. Go ahead, Tim. I should shut
Just
up now. Go ahead.
just real quick, because this wraps in so much, because many times, I know from my own personal corporate experience, people work,
Hmm.
work, 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 and never spend their PTO. But what you're
Yeah.
talking about, when you think about performance architecture, if I'm a team leader thinking about the performance architecture of my team,
Yes.
what I really need to be doing is promoting and creating space and encouraging people to disconnect, because when I know when they get back, they're going to come back with what? Better performance, correct?
That's right. Absolutely. How time off restores prefrontal power, protects emotional authority, and sustains high performance teams. That's what the architecture is new understanding. And so you're like, so the new architecture in your thinking process is that titration process, right? How is this affecting me and my leadership ability? A or arrow. I just gave this person time off. Arrow, holy cow, I'm in a mess. She's the only one that can handle it. Pause. No emotional dysregularity. She's gone. End of controversy. What happens if she's dead? God forbid. You wouldn't be able to do it. It's called improvisation. Improvision. You improvise as the stellar leader. You assemble the other team and go, listen, she was handling this. I need to put a think tank together real quick. A, B, C, D. That's called cognitive adherence. And that is the superior ability of pristine leadership, is the power of the pivot. Now, if there's been so much responsibility delegated that you don't have one foot in and one foot out, that is an issue. That me as a senior leader, you know this, with our organization, I'm not in charge of engineering, but I got one foot in. I can pick up the phone at any time, call the senior engineer and say, give me an update, what's going on? And I have a working intel baseline of what's going on. And what happens is so powerful, Tim. I'm really glad you brought this up, because the prefrontal cortex is the ultimate AI brain. It knows how to create on demand. If you've honored your own truth, this is an architectural issue, architecture. It says you are honoring that person's day off. You'd be amazed at what your brain can do. But you don't ever give it a chance because you're so used to depending on other people. And I want you to go easy on yourself in the interim, rebuilding this architecture, because if you're too hard on yourself, that's going to set you online as well. It's like a learning curve.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The reason why Tim is kind of throwing me the ball is because the team really wants me to teach these things without interruption or distraction, because the content is so rich. In fact, we're going to start going down to a private group because these keys are so essential that there's people calling us and saying we'd like to have you privately. So we're gonna limit these. So make sure you sign up so you can get the emails when we go. Culture driven title, PTO debate. Is rest a weakness or a competitive advantage? Let's tap into this, because I want you to understand the maximum benefits now. So it's not just, you know, why, but how. How, coach? Well, why this works. It's a part of the brain that says to you, I am not doing wrong when I'm resting. But if I think I'm not being proactive, then it sends a signal to the amygdala, you're lazy. You're not doing anything right now. So, how do you interrupt that pattern to re architect it? You have to stop yourself and say, breathe in, 5 seconds in. This is HRV methodology. It's a key that we're coaching at my practice. Heart rate variability. You're going to re regulate the heart by breathing in 5 seconds, hold, release two, and say to yourself, I give myself permission to rest. I give you permission to relax. Immediately, cortisol level drops by 10 to 20%. Studies have shown it. You reduce emotional anxiety. Now, if you've got something in the back of your head, you get out your iPad or your smartphone and you note it. This is really bothering me, and I want you to give a prompt into the AI tool. Do this at ChatGPT. I'm really exhausted right now, and I'm emotionally stressed because I need to relax. I just heard Coach Ron. He's talking about cortisol. I don't know how to relax. And it's going to give you a prompt that's going to say, take a deep breath. Because we're programming these things, right? I know people in Silicon Valley here, we're programming them. And we're actually developing AI tools that are very Judeo Christian ethic based, very moral, very, because ChatGPT just told a kid to commit suicide. So you do have to be careful. But for the minimal essential component of optimizing your performance, write it down, because as you write it down, the cerebral frontal cortex gets it offline and on paper. It's not rocket science. You take it out of your brain, put it here, it'll trickle, it'll come back in an hour, but then you take that thought captive, captivate it, and you say to yourself, stop it, relax, you're okay, breathe in. Because I'm telling you, if you don't do this, it's going to start calcifying your body. And you don't want to do that. We're seeing more early deaths among executives, among senior leaders, stroke, osteoporosis, heart disease, all time high, all preventable. Aside from degenerative or a generational, lineage diseases, if your mother and father died of a heart attack or had a stroke, get a DNA test. You can call our offices. We've got several doctors we work with, and it's online. Boom, ship to your thing, spit on it, send it back, and it'll show you the propensity or the gene disposition that actually will increase your risk of stroke. You can start taking proper nutrition, exercising, cut back on smoking, drinking, whatever you're doing, and actually extend your life by 10 to 20 years. One 30-second decision to calm your emotions could increase the next 20 to 30 years of your life. Okay? All right. Hustle culture. I want to get back to that word hustle. Because every once in a while, a little trickle out of me, Tim. That's that old school in me, from back in the day. Um, I remember Ice Cube, who we still see today, pumping out videos and commercials. He used to have this song called Hustler. It was one of the best songs, and it was really propagating, work ethic. So I understand it. But I remember, as we evolve, knowledge is increasing in the land. And so it's not saying it was bad, it's saying we've got something better. What people are saying, we glorified burnout. Oh man, this guy works 70 hours. Oh, where are you? Oh man, I'm working. I'm in Spain now. I'm in New York. I'm in LA. Rest is seen as laziness. Eh. Data from the World Health Organization links chronic overwork to increased cardiovascular risk and measurable cognitive decline. We're measuring you are actually getting worse, even though you're boasting about being a hustler. Burnout's not emotional weakness, it's full blown neurological depletion. So, what I did, and I've worked hard for this to get to this place. So, you may not be able to do this tomorrow, but I set a goal in 2000 and right around 5 that I said I'm going to take another 52 days off a year, right? So, 52 days, right? Would quantify an extra day during the week sometimes too. So Fridays I'm off. I'm gonna tell you what that's done for me as a high performance coach. It has caused me to spend more time writing, spend more time regulating, and spend more time mountain biking and great restaurants. And I'm telling you, my dopamine levels now have curbed to where I never drank to pair food. I drank to get buzzed and to take the edge off. And man, I don't need to do that anymore. I don't have the edge. Get the edge off. There are times where my stress will be elevated, just like all of us. I have the architecture how to rewire, refire to go higher and get out of it. Is it perfect? No. Can you be perfect? No. But that's a limiting belief in yourself. Does that make sense? So you're already setting yourself up for a fall. You go into the new decision, the new architecture saying, I'm going to be hard on myself. I'm going to shoot an email. I am going to jump on Slack. I am going to use the CRM, and I'm going to follow up in the first couple times. But the more you wean off this, the sharper you're going to become. Let me go ahead and close off with this. High performers don't need time off. Boy, do I get that. Right? We were talking about this the other day by a pro athlete that I'm working with. He meant no days off, coach. Well, that was old school thinking. Not to say it was bad. We got a higher dimension. You open for it? Oh, yeah, hell yeah. You know, he was really into it. This one is loud in executive threads that I work with in that. But research from Stanford, you know me, I come back to the data. I'm a data guy. That's our company's data analytics. Research from Stanford, which is right in our backyard, shows productivity sharply declines after 50 to 55 hours per week. Past that, output per hour collapses. And why the Italians got such good skin, I'm part Italian. I don't take siestas, but it's very interesting to see how Italy will shut down right around 2 o'clock. Everyone go get some olive oil and bread. They be eating all this carbs, and they're not an obese nation. I mean, obesity is a pandemic, but it's interesting to see life longevity. If you do the research from the World Health Organization, high drive without recovery becomes diminished returns. Now, let me just wrap this up on a physiological side. Having coached over 7,000 hours in the gym, one on one training, everything from the stay home mom to the big CEO and the pro athlete. The only way the body gets in shape is when it is resting or recovering. So you get done doing a set, you do your Pilates class, the burn, the isometric burn that happens with the fatigue, we call it addicted to the burn, is only shaping and tearing the muscle. It's pumping blood in there. That's why you're burning, and it's like maxed out. It's a lactic acid threshold. We coach Olympians in this. How do you avoid that lactic acid threshold? Well, the same thing is in neurological performance or your work day, fancy way of saying, my brain is my muscle. And it is. The mind is the muscle of the brain. Make no mistake about it. It is a living, breathing, pliable mechanism that we can reshape now unequivocally. It's called plasticity, neuroplasticity. So the athlete knows that the only time, or the woman knows, if you're good, when you're recovering and your legs and your glutes are starting to pop and your shoulders are getting nice and curved and hard and firm, it's only when you're resting. So the rest period in between sets, that's why long duration cardio, no go. I do about 20 minutes cardiovascular health, and then I do about 20 to 40 minutes of weight training. And man, I lift those weights hard, stimulate the tissue. It goes into aerobic versus anaerobic. And the anaerobic piece, anaerobic means less oxygen. And we're going to get into this next week, how important it is for you to use the HRV method in order to emotionally regulate. I don't know the subject matter yet, but I'm going to tie it in. So the reality is the debate isn't it about policy. It's about psychological safety. It's about cognitive sustainability. How well can you stay on your A game? And we assess endurance. That's endurance. How long can you stay on a task without letting your phone interrupt you or the disgruntled team chiming in and saying everything is a mess? How long can you stay focused on a task? If you're not training and understand the architecture of interruption, you're actually weakening prefrontal cognition, executive center of the brain, prefrontal cortex, PFC. It is training how you respond. Rewire, refire, go higher. The debate isn't about policy, it's about emotional authority. Who's in charge? Is your boss in charge of your body, or are you in charge of your body? Mm, mm. You mean to tell me that if you have a heart attack and she says get your butt in the office, you're gonna take the robe off and head on out? No, no, you're gonna say, "Do you understand me? I just had a heart attack." All right. Well, before you have a heart attack, say, "Do you understand me? I'm on PTO, and I'm not gonna apologize about it." Period. And if they don't understand that, you tell them to Coach Ron. Call Coach Ron. Email our office. And the last one is production longevity. The companies winning long term, you guys, are engineering recovery systems, not just PTO policy. Engineer, create the new architecture. You want to be a cutting edge company? You pick up the phone and let me give you the solutions. We'll give them to you in 30 seconds. I'm Coach Ron Kardashian. Welcome to LinkedIn Live, where we rewire, refire, and go higher. That's why we're always winning in leadership. Till next week, God bless.